As you know, the president signed, as I think you know, some of you know, maybe you don't know because you don't listen to the news except for the Yaron Brook show. The president has signed an executive order basically putting into play the Aliens Enemies Act, and in order to deport illegal aliens, illegal immigrants who are gang members or who are criminals, and deport them out of the country. I just give you a context, right? This act has only been triggered 3 times in American history. In the War of 1812, I think that's the context in which it was passed. The War of 1812, that's with the British. World War I and World War II. And now, now illegal immigration invasion. It's a law that is, specifically targeted to be applied at war. The AEA, as it's called, is triggered, quote, whenever there is a declared war between the United States and any foreign nation or government. That is the condition for triggering it. And yet, there's no war here. Gangs, even these awful Venezuelan gangs, the TDA, are not foreign nations or governments. You can't declare a war on gangs. You'd have to declare the war on Venezuela, I guess, and they would be Venezuelan agents, but that's a reach. There's just no basis for the application of the AEA in the context of deporting drug members. You might be for deporting drug members. That's fine. So we've got the basically the alien, the AEA, and the Trump administration is using this to deport what they argue are gang members. And they did this. They did this a few days ago, and specifically, it's not just deportation, right? It's not just that they're sending them back to their country of origin, which they've been doing since the Trump administration came into power. And indeed, all administrations have done that with illegal immigrants. They send them back across the border. In this case, in the case of the use of this particular law, the use under this executive order, the deportations are to El Salvador. And not to El Salvador to live in El Salvador, but specifically to El Salvador to be incarcerated in El Salvador. Now, El Salvador, it has these new, fancy, massive jails in which they have imprisoned thousands, tens of thousands, of alleged gang members. Now, the United States is sending people without trial, without any due process, to a prison in El Salvador where they would, and quite easily could, basically disappear and never be seen again or never be free again. Whether they are actual drug members or not actual drug members, whether they have committed a serious crime or not, they are just disappeared into the black hole of an El Salvador jail. I mean, this is truly astounding that this could be happening. And the administration is admitting that many of the people they sent to these Salvadorian prisons, which are really horrific prisons, but prisons, again, not just back to Venezuela, that many of the people sent to the Salvadoran prisons are people with no criminal record. Indeed, they argued, the administration argued, that they don't know much about these people. I mean, they rounded them up to a large extent based on El Salvadorian principles, which is you have a tattoo that looks like a gang tattoo, you're a member of a gang, and therefore off you go. Now, supposedly a bunch of innocent people were part of this, were seized and sent to El Salvador to jail because they had tattoos that were unrelated to gangs, but looked maybe a little bit similar to the gang tattoo, and off they went to jail in El Salvador, who knows if ever to be seen again. And the government, what does the government explains? It says, the lack of criminal record does not indicate they pose a limited threat. In fact, based upon their association with TDA, if that association is real, the lack of specific information about each individual actually highlights the risk they pose. Like, we don't know anything about these people, but they must be risky. It demonstrates that they are terrorists with regard to whom we lack a complete profile. Now, we've already started doing this with cartel in Mexico, we're associating terrorism, gang members with terrorists. All gang members are terrorists. Now, there's no question that many of the people that were sent to El Salvador are indeed gang members. But when the government can't tell you how many of them are, and whether they're confident they all are, and whether they're confident they're all criminals, something is really, really, really broken. When they haven't gone in front of a judge, something is really, really broken. Basically, due process is out the window. And here's the thing. This administration doesn't care. They don't care. They don't think due process is important. Now, granted, Steve Bannon is not part of the administration. He's an outsider, but he represents MAGA to a large extent. He is a spokesman for MAGA. He is, in many respects, MAGA. Steve Bannon said about the deportation to El Salvador, if there's some innocent gardeners in there, hey, tough break for a swell guy. Yeah, let's just round up people who happen to have the wrong color skin, or maybe are, quote, or can't prove their legal status. Maybe they're illegal immigrants, although it seems like some people who've been rounded up in the deportation, these deportations are not illegals, actually have legal status, but nobody seems to really, really care that much. Hey, tough break. And due process? You know, that's just cumbersome. That's a lot of work. Put in front of a judge, that's a lot of work. Actually provide evidence, that's a lot of work. And it's a war right now, right? This is the Alien Enemies Act. This is a act of war. This is a act implied that a war is going on. We don't have time for due process. Come on, give me a break. And anyway, due process is overrated, we are told. Here's Adrian Vermeule. I've talked about Adrian Vermeule before. He is a Harvard law professor. He is the leading voice of what's called common good conservatism, a leading voice in the integralist movement. This is a movement with heavy of Catholics, really, really strong influence on J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is a huge fan of Patrick Deneen and Vermeule and others within this movement. Anyway, Vermeule is the leading legal thinker in the movement, and this is what he has to say about due process. He writes, process is an aspect of justice in the tradition, but it isn't the whole of justice, nor is it an end in itself. Due process, like all other law, is only properly law when it is rationally ordered to the common good, as the tradition has always recognized. So if the common good requires, demands that due process be eliminated because it's an emergency, and the left and the judges, the leftist judges, then we can do away with due process when it is convenient to do so. Because the standard is the common good, not individual rights. And note, due process serves a crucial role in protecting individual rights. In general, process is not the whole of justice. That is true, Vimule. But it is an essential element in the execution of justice if your standard are the rights of the individual. If it's the common good, then yes, I can always come up with an excuse for an emergency by which we suspend individual rights, we suspend process, we suspend things all in the name of dealing with the emergency to the common good. But the American system of law is not based on the common good. It is based on individual rights. And process is essential for the protection of individual rights. We need an objective process, which is what the courts are supposed to provide, in order to determine if somebody is a criminal or somebody is not, if the laws are being applied correctly or not. So due process is not a triviality. It's not just something we add on. It's not just like icing on the cake. It is part of the cake. There is no justice without due process. There is no justice without the opportunity for the accused to defend themselves. There is no justice without evidence being presented that somebody is really guilty. And indeed, our justice system is built on the idea that you're innocent until proven guilty. Not here. Here you're shipped off to a El Salvadorian jail, not even to an American jail, where maybe at some point there'll be some due process, and you can face the court. No, it's an El Salvadorian jail where we know there is no justice or due process. The horror of it. The country that stands for, or has stood for, the rule of law, the idea of innocence until proven guilty, the idea of justice, of due process, the idea that the United States, on a presidential whim, would abandon due process and not care, be frivolous about guilt or innocence, about the appropriateness of a sentence or not a sentence. Send them for life in prison in El Salvadorian jail. What the hell? It'll make America safe again. I mean, indeed, we can round up all young males in America, send them to El Salvador, and America will be a lot less violent. Why stop with illegal immigrants? We could do it with citizens as well. Our jails, we're too loose and we let them out too early. Send them to El Salvador. They can keep them for good. So, first of all, the application of the Alien Enemies Act, completely inappropriate, completely out of context, I think ultimately unconstitutional. Congress has not declared war. I think, and again, I'm not a legal scholar, Alien Enemies Act requires a declaration of war. There is no declaration of war.